Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next 30 days / 6 weeks, 42 days for Europe for this second video. So it's our Tuesday European extended outlook with the extended ECMWF model. And yeah, I should get on with that for you very shortly. Just to say that the first video releasing was our 7 AM broadcast. We've got a 10 to 14 day that will include all other regular features coming up for you later on this afternoon. Please like, share, subscribe on all other videos. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. I hope you're having a lovely Tuesday. Right, so we'll start off then with the week 1 mean sea level pressure anomaly for UK and the rest of Europe too. This will take us from the 15th through the 22nd of November. The coming week, or the week that we're currently in, we'll see low pressure dominating across northern parts of Europe, so into Scandinavia and northwestern Russia. We've got quite deep low pressure. That will probably be bringing colder air from the north as well. Then we've got this big ridge of high pressure sitting across the west of Europe. That will bring lots of dry weather to the western side of Europe. It should be pretty mild as well as we bring the wind around the high pressure from the Atlantic, a little bit like that. Lower pressure through here and into the far southeast of Europe as well. But otherwise, it looks like there's quite an anticyclonic influence really through many parts of Europe. The week 1 500 millibar height anomaly looks like that. So again, we see the low pressure digging in from the north into the far north and northwest of Europe. We've got high pressure then out to the west, across west parts of Europe, and low pressure down here. Most parts of Europe, particularly West Europe, dominated by high pressure therefore. So, the temperature anomaly for week 1 looks like that. So actually, it's not all that cold Scandinavia. It's actually pretty mild up there, although western parts of Russia looking a little bit colder and down towards the Black Sea. Many central, western, northern parts of Europe also looking quite mild. And then through France, Spain and Portugal, it gets quite a lot colder. Italy, over the Adriatic towards the Balkans, looking mild there. And then into the southeastern corner of Europe, around Greece, there we see that it is pretty mild. It is pretty cold, although it gets milder as we move over towards Turkey. So a lot of variation from region to region, but the upshot really is that many places are mild in the weekend, and particularly so in this northern and northwestern part of Europe. And precipitation-wise, we look like that. So again, a little bit of variation, but generally dry and average, especially through the western part of Europe, so Germany westwards through the UK, Ireland, France, Low Countries, Belgium, Holland, Netherlands, down into Spain and Portugal. Many areas of dry and average through there. And also here on the eastern side of Europe, from the Balkans to the Black Sea, we're pretty dry through there as well. Many parts of Scandinavia even look quite dry, but it is wetter across the far north. Scandinavia, that would be snow, of course, and through to Norway as well. It's wetter through there. Down into the Mediterranean. So as I say, it's dry through Spain and Portugal. Then the central bowl of the Med looks quite wet, especially through the holiday islands, like the Balearic Islands. Italy also looking a little bit on the wetter side, but we get towards Greece and it goes somewhat drier. So yeah, pretty dry scene across many parts of Europe, but there are regional variations. Right, through to week 2, which is the 22nd, 29th of November. We look like that. The high pressure then begins to pull northwards and northwestwards, so becoming centred in the North Atlantic and heading up towards Greenland and Iceland. Trough of low pressure in across eastern, northeastern parts of Europe, and quite low pressure in some parts of Europe as well. It looks like that should start to pull wind into a colder, northerly, northeasterly really, especially across northern and western parts of Europe perhaps. The 500 millibar height anomaly for week 2 is looking like that, an area of above average heights through the North Atlantic, which does extend up to Greenland as well. Trough of low pressure across the northern and central eastern parts of Europe. Winds again in from a north or northeasterly direction for the northern part of Europe. Probably bring up like a milder southerly though across this eastern part of Europe. So the northwest, I think, is probably getting colder there, while southern and eastern areas might be getting a little bit warmer. Let's have a look at the temperature anomaly. It looks like that. So going quite widely cold on average across many northern, central, west parts of Europe, actually. So all the way from like Iceland and down the Atlantic into Ireland and Portugal, right the way over to the far eastern side of Europe as well, certainly to Poland at least. It looks pretty, and even perhaps western parts of the Ukraine could be a little bit cold on average as well. So widely going cold on average, actually, from many northern, central, west parts of Europe. Over in the east, it is warmer through there, so around the Black Sea, down to the far southeastern corner of the Mediterranean, and then up into southwest parts of Europe, southwest parts of Russia. That is where we have the above average temperature, but quite a significant drop in the temperature is taking place there on the temperature scale for many parts of Europe, on the temperature scale at the core of this, which is like central France and also northern parts of Scandinavia, around 3 to 6 degrees below average. So that is, a significantly cold average temperature anomaly there for week 2. Precipitation-wise, look like that. So, yes, it's wetter than average, particularly through the Mediterranean. Looks like many parts of the Med and the Adriatic into the Balkans going significantly wetter than average. Heavy rain, thunderstorms when you get into the mountainous areas of the Balkans, of course, of that will be snow. So, southern, southeast Europe looks wet. Northern and western Europe looking relatively dry. Ireland, UK, Scandinavia, down to Germany, into the Low Countries, northern parts of France, looking pretty dry through there. It is wetter through Norway. Obviously, that will be very substantial and significant snow, with those colder than average temperatures. And into the west of Russia as well. It does look a little bit wetter than average there. You can clearly see where the high pressure is sitting in the middle of the North Atlantic, extending up towards Greenland and Iceland, a proper blocking area of high pressure through there. Right, that takes you to week 3, which will be the 29th of November to the 6th. Oh, so by the way, we are going to get to Christmas with this in terms of a 6 weeks outlook anyway. So this is how week 3 is looking. Still a mid-Atlantic ridge through here, still with the trough of low pressure in the northeast of Europe. We are raising heights a little bit across southern Europe. That will try and bring milder air up from the southwest, up the west side of Europe. But overall, I think probably still bring down quite a lot of cold air from the north, actually, especially to these northeastern parts of Europe. The 500 millibar height anomaly is looking like that. So mid-Atlantic ridge through here. There's a ridge over in the southeastern side of Europe as well. That will try and bring up warmer air from North Africa into the southeast Europe. And then this trough low pressure, that's the cold trough, of course, digging in across the north and the northeastern part of Europe. Temperature anomalies look like that, so beginning to stage a little bit of a recovery, particularly so for Ireland and the UK perhaps, although only sort of around average. It's not particularly warm, but certainly a bit of a recovery going on there. The cold and average temperatures from Scandinavia down through Germany, into France, into Spain and Portugal, and then to the east of that as well, like through Poland. They're still quite cold across many central, northern and some southwest parts of Europe as well. Central Bar of Med also going below average. Warmest temperature anomalies again in this far eastern and southeastern part of Europe in week 3. And precipitation anomalies from the 29th of November, 6th of December. Begin to lose signal a little bit now. Wetter than average over on the eastern, northeast side of Europe. Of course, that could be very significant snow for those northeastern parts of Europe with relatively cold temperatures. Dry but average in the southeastern part of Europe, and then out west, round average, probably we're losing a signal at that point. Week 4 will be the 6th through to 13th of December. Begins to get a little bit mysterious now, as it often does in the 4th week. So we have got some high pressure here across the southern, southeastern parts of Europe. That will be a warm ridge continuing down there. Looks like quite a nice few weeks to come for Greece, actually, if you're fancying a little bit of winter sunshine. I don't think Greece will be doing too badly here for the next few weeks, actually. Further northwards, we've got some low pressure across the northern parts of Scandinavia. Otherwise, I'll put in some question marks, I think, because it's not particularly clear what's happening in the 4th week. We go through to the 500 millibar height anomaly. That looks like we're reverting to more of a zonal westerly, with high pressure sort of setting up through there from the Azores and the Atlantic into western, some central southern parts of Europe. Low pressure is up here. So you would look at and think we're just sort of reverting back to a much more typical flat zonal westerly flow there through the earlier part of December. That should lift the temperature up. So we're losing those cold average temperatures. Not going particularly warm at this point, but, you know, we've lost the cold average temperatures widely across Europe, and we're around average to slightly above there in week 4. And finally, precipitation for week 4 looks like that. So, once again, it is a weak signal. The strongest signal is to like southern southeast Europe to still be relatively dry. So dry and warm, relatively speaking, for southeast Europe. Otherwise, not really clear what's happening in terms of precipitation, but probably on average, a little bit more in way of slightly drier in many areas compared to wetter. Right, so that's the 30-day look ahead done. Let's progress on, though, and have a look at weeks 5 and 6 data before we go, because why not? So week 5 will be the 13th to the 20th of December. Looks like that, again, all rather mysterious, isn't it, from a mean sea level pressure anomaly. So let's just put in a big old question mark, shall we? Because, again, it isn't particularly clear what's happening with a 500 millibar height on. We shed any light. So that's how we look. So we've got some high pressure there, or above average heights anyway, building across eastern parts of Europe. We've got the Azores High pulled out into the far sort of middle of the North Atlantic and over towards Bermuda. I would think it's probably, because it's going to be low pressure somewhere, but it's probably going to be a trough low pressure through here, I would have thought. That could be quite a mild scene, actually, across many parts of Europe, drawing up southerly winds. Perhaps. So potentially anomaly probably goes mild on average. Yes, looks like it's on average, sort of above average in many areas there for week 5. And precipitation looks like that. Again, very weak signal, but maybe it's only getting a little bit wetter to the north and the west. Right, let's go through to Christmas, see what the ECM is forecasting for then. So this is going to be week 6, 20th, 27th of December. This is how it looks. So again, quite weak signals. We've got some high pressure over on the eastern, southeastern side of Europe. That continues. Some low pressure around Scotland. And otherwise, not really clear what's happening. But if low pressure around Scotland, we're probably bringing in like a westerly. But the jet stream might be a little bit displaced southwards, perhaps. So you expect low pressure to be more around Greenland and Iceland. So if low pressure is over Scotland, then that might be sending the jet stream southwards slightly. Let's have a look at the 500 millibar height anomaly. Looks like that. So again, it's a really weak scene. We've got some above average heights over on the eastern side of Europe. Got a little bit of low pressure out to the northwest of Scotland. Just looks like it's probably reverting to a mild west-southwesterly, I think, for many northern and western parts of Europe. Temperatures are probably going to be above average over Christmas. Don't be surprised if they are. Here it is. But yeah, many areas still a little bit above average. Going a bit colder around Iceland, maybe. But I think, much of Europe is either average or above. So quite mild for Christmas. And the precipitation anomaly just looks out a little bit wetter, doesn't it, in the far northwest of Europe. So becoming more unsettled as we go along into December. Maybe if the jet stream goes far in the south, becoming colder as well, but I would not go overboard with that. I think the main thing to say about the middle, second half of December is just that it's beginning to get more unsettled in northern and western parts of Europe, and I think, chance of any cold weather is probably quite slim there. But bear in mind, it is like 5 and 6 weeks away, that. So, not really worth being overly concerned about at this point. Right, so that's it for the EC Extended for Europe for this week. So the upshot is starting pretty mild across northern and western parts of Europe this week, and relatively dry in many areas too. It becomes a lot colder next week. It looks like it's only temporary, and then by the end of November and into December, we're back into milder weather. And as we progress through December, probably it starts getting increasingly unsettled in northern and western parts of Europe as well. Right, so that's that one done. We'll be back later on. Remember, it's just a snapshot of what the model is showing. It could look completely different when we look at this again with a focus on the UK and Ireland on Friday, or when we do next week's European Outlook next Tuesday. So just a snapshot of what model shows today. We'll be back shortly with a 10 to 14 day that will include all the red features, so come back for that then. For this week's European Outlook Extended, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.